You see this shirt? I paid actual money for this shirt, and I love it. I'm back and I'm older now, even though my birthday was early March, and it is not March. Life has been kind of bad lately. Well, life is kind of always bad, but I've actually had a lot of good things happen lately, but my brain is stupid and it tells me to kill myself. Don't worry, I won't. But I wanted to do something fun. Why did I just start humming the tune to Jesus Christ Superstar? Remember the Muppets video? Statistically, not many people saw it, but a lot of my friends liked the video. I know because I forced them all to watch it, as I laughed at my own jokes, which weren't even that funny, but we're gonna do that again. So I did a poll on my Twitter, which, by the way, follow me on Twitter at HeyNancyBoy. I will not explain where that name came from. And I asked people to show me what they wanted to see me do. So we're gonna talk about Ghost Adventures, which is one of my favorite TV shows of all time. So Ghost Adventures was started in like 2008, and it's on its 18th season, and it's hosted by Dude Bro Zach Baggins, Scared Man Aaron Goodwin, and Skeptic Nick Rolfe, who actually left the show during like season 10, and then went on to talk about how they faked the show a lot, because why wouldn't they? And the show was picked up after that clip of the brick flying across the room, and they all started like screaming over it.
Is that you making all the noise? Holy oh my god! Holy stop! Stop!
There are many episodes of Ghost Adventures that could warrant a video that we could focus on, but I've decided on my favorite, and it's the one that me and my friend, my best friend, watched like a couple summers ago, and we memed the fuck out of it. And that episode is season 4, episode 1, Gettysburg. Like the Muppets video, we're gonna sit back, relax, you can get some coffee, because I have some down here in my Eastern State Penitentiary mug. And we're just gonna go through this whole episode. I'm not funny. I hope it's not too loud.
My name is Zach Bagans. My name is Zach Bagans. I never believed in ghosts until I came face to face with one. You wanted us, you got us. Witches, where we will spend an entire night being locked down.
You have reached your final destination. Hell.
Extreme.
Stop!
I forgot how dumb the opening is. The episode starts with Zach Baggins walking out in the biggest belt I've ever seen, and he gives us some stats about the Civil War. Also, the belt has a giant, just US on it, as if we didn't know where Gettysburg was, or what war was being fought in Gettysburg. And one thing I really love, well, I kind of hate it, about all these ghost shows, is that they talk so concretely about ghosts and spirits. Like, all of their technology is based around the fact that ghosts exist, but, like, we don't have any scientific proof that ghosts exist, so why would any of their equipment work? Like, the main thing that all these ghost hunters seem to use nowadays is this radio device, and they all go into the explanation of, like, well, it scans through the radio wave so fast that if anything is spoken for longer than, like, 3 seconds, it means a spirit is coming through. And not only does that not make any sense, because there is an effect called, like, audio pareidolia, where you can just kind of make some sort of... what's the word I'm looking for? Basically, you'll hear whatever you want to hear, and all these ghost shows will just apply whatever context that they're in to what they think is coming through on this radio device. And half of the time, like a half-second sound will come through, and they all gasp and they'll try to tell you that it was a ghost and it was saying its name and ghosts are real. But that's not how... It's a radio. Like, even if it's getting back and forth, it still voices off of a radio, and if you hear something for long enough and it repeats itself, you're gonna hear something. Well, that was a bit of an angry tangent. We'll move on. Back to Mr. Baggins.
So your father just died in battle, and as a child you have to go through that and try and understand it and accept it. And while you're going through that process, you're sent here to an orphanage that was everything but heavenly. it was hell.
He says it was hell, but I mean, that was their final destination, so I think they found what they were looking for.
Hell!
Also, we're treated to the imagery of an orphan T-posing in a well. So that happens. So Zach and the crew are beginning to go through this orphanage area with some witness lady, and the lady is talking about how these children were fucking tortured in a dungeon, which is so fucked up to put on a fake ghost show. If I believed in ghosts, that dungeon would definitely be haunted. Also, we really do need to appreciate some of these scene transitions and, like, the recreations that they do throughout the episode. It's ridiculous.
And he was put in a pit for like 4 days, around really tightly to his neck.
They go upstairs to a place that wasn't there when the battles took place, so I don't know why it would be haunted. And it's like a museum area, and there's just bones everywhere.
Look at this. Right here.
And there's also this mannequin montage that they do in the show. Like, this wasn't me.
It's a creepy museum.
I don't want to be in here with the mannequins, dude. No way. I like Crazy Eye.
And I also hate these ghost shows where they're like, we are potentially walking where people died. And I'm like, yeah, that's like anywhere you go. There are more people dead than I've ever been alive. So after a quick commercial break, we are treated to our ghost boy sitting around a campfire where a man talks about how soldiers were buried and how that
Produce ghosts.
Right.
which I guess if you believe in ghosts, having like a bad burial site makes sense, but I don't know what to say. They go to the house of this dead woman and how during the battle a shot was fired as she was making breakfast and it just killed her.
That's the whole.
Which is horrific. Like, some of this shit in the episode is not funny, but then, like, shit like this pops up.
Me and Jenny's father do have something in common. We've all been at Eastern State Penitentiary locked up before.
Also, why is Zach Baggins built like a Letterkenny character? I hope some of you get that joke. Okay. We are coming to one of my favorite parts of the episode. So, prepare yourself. Zach and his ghost crew are like, war is bad, and people suffered, and we want to know what that shit feels like. So they put on unit outfits, which are a good choice. And they're like LARPing in a field where they're eating fucking hardtack. And the acting is so bad.
We gotta go get him.
And out of nowhere they're attacked by like Confederate soldier LARPers. And they're being shot and killed, like fake. Obviously it's fake. And they're all killing each other. And like there's trumpet music playing. And the Confederates are screaming. And they're all killing each other. And Zach really goes to town on killing some guy to the point where like another ghost member is like, you need to calm down. And like pulls him away. And they're all falling dramatically to the ground dying. It's so great.
This is what it feels like to be in the Civil War. Now we can actually feel the energy of what we're getting ready to hunt for. That's why we do this.
We're gonna keep it going. They finally get to the lock-in part of the night where they'll be locked into 3 separate places throughout the night, and they now have the energy of understanding what the Civil War is like, so they are bound to find a ghost. And they are locked in, and they get an EVP, which is like a bunch of just garbled static.
Her spirit voice directly responding to me, clearly showing intelligence.
Can you take the candy? Don't be afraid.
I'm not even gonna pretend to believe any of this. Like, if there is evidence, then I will accept it if it's true, but if there's nothing, then I'm not gonna give it to you. They keep talking to the air, and apparently one of them hears some footsteps, which you can't really hear in the episode until they, like, amplify some of the sounds.
Yep. I hear
that?
footsteps upstairs.
That's what I was.
And it's like, they're not completely alone. Like, it's not really just the three of them. Like, they have people with them. They have producers and people like that. So, there are other solutions to some of these noises other than just ghost. But they're all like, dude, we just got a ghost. Also, there was a soldier coming after Nick.
My body, it was like a soldier coming after me.
A rock is thrown at them, and they freak out, and they pants in the rock, and it's about the size of a quarter. And they get another EVP, which sounds less like words than the previous one. So they send Aaron upstairs alone because the crew likes to freak him out, apparently. And he supposedly catches an EVP about money.
Aaron went upstairs to do a sweep of the museum. As Aaron was discussing the money, he captured this very relevant voice.
Right over here, there's actual money they used to have.
Zach goes to a torture pit and makes a big deal out of crawling on the floor while Nick is talking to the air in like some other cell.
Guys, seriously, be careful.
And Zach tells Aaron to turn off the night vision so that they can see how dark it is and how these children would have seen this area that they were in when they were being tortured.
You want to know and see what it would feel like? Show them, Aaron. Turn off night vision. This is what they would see.
It's like, we get it. It's dark. It's nighttime. This was a bad thing. I think you've established how bad this is when you mention the fact that they were children and they were tortured. Even if they were adults, it would have been bad. But it's especially so that it was children. Another EVP is heard, and it sounds a bit more like words than their other ones, but it's fucking nothing. And Zach asks the ghost what they want to do to him, and he's just like sitting there cross-legged on the floor, and they supposedly get an EVP that says like kill the girl or something, which seems to be a bit much.
What do you want to do to me now that you got me back in your little jail cell? You want to sell? You want to sell?
And then Aaron starts to says that he hears something, but he thinks it's a snake, which is unacceptable.
What is that, dude?
What?
You don't hear that?
No.
It sounds like a snake slithering around.
Dude, don't say
Not
that,
snake,
bro.
but
Don't
like,
say that, man.
sounds
Come
like
on.
slithering on the wall.
Okay, well, don't use that word.
They're only allowed to have ghosts slithering by. They can't look for physical evidence. They have to look for fake evidence. So Zach like leaves a pit, and they pick up an EVP that's like, show me the money.
Before I crawled out of the pit, Aaron's recorder captured another EVP.
Are you guys all joining and coming around me right now?
Come out there.
Okay.
Show me the money. Show me the money. Show me the money.
Was this spirit referring to the orphanage exhibit right on the other side of this wall?
And then they leave. They enter the house where that lady was killed, and we are in for a treat in this section of our lockdown. So Zach anxiously awaits for this like dark entity to appear. Entity to appear.
And this is where the darker entity is supposed to be, right? Ooh, can't wait to get down there.
And this is where I start to lose something here, because he pulls out a device that he says is like a word database.
A word database.
Where ghosts can use their energy to choose words for people to hear. What? No! That's not how this shit works. We don't have the technology because ghosts aren't real, so we don't know how they work. Who knows if ghosts are energy based? They could be fucking like plant based. Who knows? So the word teen comes through, and similar to like what psychics do, whatever comes through the box, they will be able to attribute it to somehow to the situation at hand. I have written in my script, it says, can you imagine not knowing if you were going to get shot or die? And I can't remember why I wrote that.
Do you imagine 20 minutes trying to get through a wall and not knowing if you're gonna get shot or die?
The box says, pass, property, and helpful. And the crew just attributes it to the lady passing through the property, helping the soldiers.
Property. Helpful.
Is that right? We just passed into your property through the brick wall.
And she would help people with getting food while they're on the
Yes.
on the war, so it's helpful.
Yes, she was helpful to the Union soldiers.
This is ridiculous, and I love every second of it. Also, they find a scary mannequin. There's a lot of mannequins in this episode.
Jesus.
What's the matter?
What is that?
It's a man.
Mannequin. It's a
ugly mannequin. Why do they gotta at least make it look like that?
And then the box says like drink and water. And then Zach says because he is wearing a backpack and looks like a soldier, that's why the ghosts want to talk to him. The crew debunks a door moving, and then they talk to the lady. Oh, I should mention her name is Jenny Wade. I think she's like a historical figure at this point. And Zach starts asking like personal questions about Jenny and like her like dead lover.
Jenny, is this where you were when that bullet struck you? Were you just communicating with me? Jenny Wade, my name is Zach Bagans. Was your boyfriend at war? Did you want to tell him anything before you died? I know that you wanted to get married and start a family with him. Is that why you're not at rest?
As if that's appropriate. And supposedly they get an EVP that says like, I'm pregnant or something. And even though it doesn't sound like that, the group like calls it an intelligent response. And they move on as like hopeful music is playing in the background.
This shocking voice cannot go unheard.
And it's kind of fucked up. It is about to get so much better. Zach starts talking about a chair that like Jenny's father used to own, and like how he doesn't like people sitting in it.
Stay when he visit her sister, and anybody that sits in this chair, he hates that.
So Zach sits in it, and they hear tapping noises because obviously you can never explain ghostly tapping or whatever. They're in like a basement area too, so it could just be water. But no, it's a ghost. And then Zach presents himself on the bed, like his ass in the air over like a mannequin on the bed.
You get real mad if I lay over here? It appeared my close proximity to the mannequin got us evidence with this possessive response. You get real mad if I lay over here?
And some like EVP comes through that the crew calls like sinister. And Zach is just over top of this body on a bed and is like talking to the girl's father as he's presenting his ass to the air. And he like jumps off it because something grabbed his ass.
That looks even weirder.
Looks like
Good evidence, guys.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Feel like I'm
Necrophilia.
filming something else. The hell?
What's wrong?
I just felt someone grab my ass.
What?
Like hard, Nick. Hard. I could feel like this on my butt.
Someone grabbed his ass. I wish I believed in ghosts. Life would be so much more exciting. Like, just imagine a man is laying on top of you and your father just grabs his ass. It's not even funny. Oof, okay. They're finally in their final lock-in area, like a railroad house, I think. And they think because the railroads are made of metal, that like spiritual energy will flow through like electricity. They hear some distant noises that they think are like gunshots, but I mean, I live in the country, I hear popping noises all the time. So does that mean that there are ghosts everywhere? Statistically, probably not. And then these other EVPs come through, and because Zach is narcissistic as fuck, he thinks that they're about him.
The next 3 EVPs we captured sound to us like 2 separate spirits that are talking to each other about an attack on me.
Is there somebody in here that wishes to communicate with us?
They think that Confederate soldiers are going to beat Zach up because he's wearing a Union hat. And if ghosts are real, that seems kind of like a likely scenario, knowing what the Confederates were like. No tea, no shade, but they lost the war. We're about to come up on... Ooh, what is wrong with my hair? We are about to come up on some chilling evidence, so stick around for this one. They're like sweeping the outside of the building with one of those thermal cameras so that they can see if anything is moving through like heat signatures. And Zach pulls out a gun and fires like blanks in the air, trying to traumatize some ghosts. Because like if ghosts exist, you want them to constantly be triggered by what killing them. And then Nick, Nick, he thinks he sees something, so they pan back over, and it looks I'll give it to them. It looks like somebody is walking, and it does look like a person, and it kind of looks like a soldier holding a gun. But, like, they've met several people on their journey through Gettysburg, and, like, they could have just gotten one of them to walk in the background. And also the figure is, like, the same type of yellow that comes off of, like, humans. Like, mostly animals are, like, the orange to red. Humans are the, like, yellowish, and then everything else is sort of blue-green because it's colder. But, like, this figure is just, like, yellow, which is human temperature. So either it's a ghost that is feeling a little warm, or it's a human in the background. And they could just do that, and then not tell us that they did that. Now, we're basically at the very end of the episode, and they bring in this voice analysis lady, and she's, like, an expert in her field, which is good for her. Like, this is, like, an actual field, like, trying to find voice analysis, like, or just audio analysis, because you can do it for, like, crime scene investigations. But what annoys me about this lady is it's one of the EVP, I think it's the I'm Pregnant EVP that they got in the house with the lady, the dead Jenny, and she just automatically is talking about, like, a younger woman who's, like, telling a secret and is, like, very hush-hush and, like, 20 years old or whatever.
And so what she's presenting is very hush-hush, very quiet, very soft. So her tone is breathy, her quality is clear, her vocal intensity is soft, and in terms of assigning an age, my intuitive sense, and then looking a bit at the spectrographs, is that we're listening to a young woman in her 20s who is sharing a secret.
And then it cuts to, like, Zach and the crew being like, Jenny Wade was 20 years old when she died, and it sounds like she's telling a secret. Like, they could have just told the voice analysis lady some of the background, and then, like a psychic, she just moved that information over. It's like a, what's it called, hard reading? Or hot reading for psychics? Like, they could just have background information. What annoys me about the EVPs, and as much as I love BuzzFeed Unsolved, they do this too, is when they play some sort of EVP or they repeat it back after they catch something, they put words next to it. So the longer you listen to the EVP, it becomes easier to attribute whatever they put on the screen as the word that they think are saying to it, to what is being said. So, like, if you think something in the distance is saying, like, hello there, my name is blank, and the editors of the show put, like, in quotes on the screen, hello there, my name is blank, you're just going to assign those words to what the voice is supposedly saying. I mean, that evidence doesn't really mean anything, because if you're not hearing it automatically as it plays, it doesn't really mean much if you're assigning a word to it, because you could just be assigning anything to it, and the longer you listen to it, the more you justify it. That was a tangent. We're gonna head back over. The crew is standing in the fields of Gettysburg, and they're looking out and they're painting poetry about it, and they're visualizing war, and the episode ends. So we're gonna do a quick wrap up for this show, because I don't know how to end this. As ghost shows go, Ghost Adventures has, like, the script down with the EVPs and the debunking and the humor that they mix in between. The humor is what makes this show so much more enjoyable, and then screaming and going crazy because they think a ghost said, like, fuck or whatever. I have got to censor this video. Either way, watch Ghost Adventures. Maybe it'll prove ghosts exist.
That's one of the hardest times I've ever gotten physically touched.
On the ass.